Hi, my family loves Reuben sandwiches. And of course, doing a low carb or ketogenic diet, we don't have sandwiches very often. So, one of the favorites that I've been able to adapt is a Rueben casserole. And so, if you think about all the ingredients that go into a Reuben, and you just throw it into a casserole. Now, I love this dish because it's super easy. I can throw all the ingredients together in a pot, or in a one bowl actually, bake it into a glass baking dish, and then it's great for leftovers too. So it's really works well for working moms or working families. So what goes into a Reuben? Well, you start with corned beef, and I like to buy this. Now, I bought my own. When I first started making this, I'd buy my own roast, throw it in the crock pot or roast the corned beef, and then shred it. You can do that, certainly, but to me, I find it's a little more expensive, and it's a lot more work. So I can go to Trader Joe's or any deli. I get this for around $4 or $5, and it's 8 ounces. I open it and I shred it up, and you can see just where I've shredded the corned beef into kind of bite-sized pieces. So I shred that up, and I also use sauerkraut, but of course it's already been prepared. Now, this is a boar's head sauerkraut. I find it for about $1.99. I like to get it on sale for 99 cents. And I take that and I drain it. So you just add your drained sauerkraut to your corned beef. Now, depending on how much I'm making, I might use both packages of corned beef, and in fact I probably will for this casserole because we really do like leftovers. I encourage my daughter to take her own lunches, and I try to encourage my husband to take his own lunches because it does get expensive, and when you're eating out and just eating the meat, it can be really cost efficient just to take your own. Now, onion. I do like some onion. Sometimes I'll use onion juice, but if I don't have a fresh onion, or again, I'm crunched for time and don't have time to chop an onion, I really do like to keep dried minced onion for a couple reasons. When you're working with keto and you've got dry dehydrated onion, you can simply add it, and that's going to absorb some of the fat as the onion rehydrates. So I'm gotta make another run to Sam's Club. This is where I purchased the dehydrated onion. I'm just gonna dump that all in there like that, and it's probably 2 tablespoons of dehydrated onion. Do what you like. If your family doesn't care for the onion, you can certainly leave that out. So I've got my onion, I've got my kraut, and I've got the corned beef that I shredded earlier. And like I said, I may open another pack before I throw this in. We'll see what it looks like before I throw it in. And this is it actually when you bring it out of the package. So after I put that in, one of the things that makes it really yummy is rye bread. So I did buy some caraway seed to add to this, and I'm going to shake it in. I don't measure, but I'm going to use maybe a half of a tablespoon in this amount. If I add more beef, I would add more. And then what makes it really yummy is Swiss or provolone. So I do have some provolone cheese that's actually in slices. So I'm going to add shredded Swiss, and just use your favorite, and it's okay to mix it. And I'm putting most of the package in. I meant to measure it. There's 1.5 cups here. I put in about a cup of Swiss cheese, and that's just shredded Swiss. I do like to shred my own when I can, when I have time, because in the shredded cheeses, they often put fillers. And then I also will just take a knife, and I will cut up some of the provolone cheese to add to, and I don't even have to cut it up. I can lay it into the casserole. I can just take my fingers and shred it up like that. But basically, the important part is mixing it up. Now, if you think about what else goes into a Rueben casserole, here comes the stuff that you think that's not going to work. And I'm just chopping up provolone cheese to add to this now. And I'm adding 4 or 5 slices. Eyeball it, see what looks good to you. You want it to be all melty and gooey and yummy when you put it together. But what you generally put on sandwiches is that secret sauce. The sauce is traditionally Thousand Island. Now wait a minute, there's sugar in that stuff, isn't there? Well, there is sugar in the commercial versions of Thousand Island dressing, so you can make your own. Now, to make your own, it's really simple. Don't be intimidated, and don't be afraid to test and try things as you go. I'm going to get a spatula because it'll be a little easier to mix up a little quieter too. We have enough noise in this house with dogs barking and kids running through. Okay, so what I've got in here right now is one package of sauerkraut. It's the 16 ounces drained. I've got one package, the 8 ounce of corned beef. I may add another. I'll put it together and see what it looks like. So far, I think it looks okay, but I'd prefer to go heavy on the meat than the other stuff. I've put in some baby Swiss cheese, and I've also put in some provolone cheese, and I may put a little more provolone as we go. We'll see. Now, what do we substitute for Thousand Island dressing? Well, it's super easy if you've ever made your own. We've got mayonnaise. Now, I use Duke's because it doesn't have added sugar. It does have soybean oil, which is far from ideal. Again, in a perfect world, I would make my own mayonnaise, and I would use that. I don't have time, and I don't live in a perfect world, as you can see from my kitchen and my videos. So, I'm going to mix in about, that's a 1/4 cup, and I'm going to do that again. So that's a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. So 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. And then I'm going to use some ketchup. Now this is reduced sugar ketchup. Use whichever ketchup you want. You can also puree tomatoes or use tomato sauce to get fewer carbs. This does have artificial sweetener in it, which some folks object to. And I'm going to use a 1/3 cup of the ketchup. So it's a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise so far, and about a 1/3 of a cup of ketchup. And the last thing I'll add is some relish. Now, the sweet relish I use is made by Mount Olive Pickle Company. It is sweetened with Splenda. So again, you're going to get some sweeteners in here between the ketchup and the Mount Olive. That is a good tablespoon, and I'll add another tablespoon to that. I don't usually put salt and pepper unless I just know something needs it. The meat is fairly salty, the kraut is fairly salty. So I'm going to mix this up and eyeball it. And that drives people crazy who don't cook. But I think this is going to be just about perfect. I've used a 1/2 cup mayonnaise. If it's not creamy enough for you and your taste, add another 1/4 cup or tablespoon. See what you think. So I've got mayonnaise in here. I've got ketchup, a 1/3 of a cup of low sugar ketchup. And I've got about 2 heaping tablespoons of the relish. And that's my seasoning. I'm going to add some more relish because I don't think that's enough. So probably 3 heaping tablespoons, maybe 4 if you're actually measuring. It would be more like 4 heaping tablespoons. But the relish gives it a really, really nice flavor. And I will put a link to the recipe. And the recipe is one I adapted from someone else. So I will put a link to the recipe. To be fair, I am going to put a little more mayonnaise. So we're looking more about 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. And again, their recipe may be different. This is me cooking with my recipe, or the way that my family tends to like it. So I'm adding a little more to make it a little more moist. And that's it. That's all you do with this thing. It's super, super easy. Once I get it all mixed up, and I probably will add a little more, we'll see if I add a little more corned beef, or I just save that corned beef for another casserole. And again, this is super, super easy to put together on Sunday night, or even at night after cooking. One of the things I've had to do is after I feed them dinner on a weeknight, I'll go ahead and make the next night's dinner. Kitchen's already a wreck, and it's just easy to clean it up all at once. So it's all mixed up. Pretty simple. If you want more cheese, you can certainly do that, and that wouldn't be a bad thing to add more cheese. You can also layer it in the pan and then add more cheese after that. In our house, you can never put too much cheese. Again, I've used provolone and Swiss. I've also made it with cheddar cheese, whatever kind of cheese your family likes with your Rueben is fine. I did add the caraway seeds. So you're going to put this in here like so. If I wasn't on camera, I probably would have tasted it just to make sure that it's all okay. Because I'm not sure that I have enough cheese, I'm going to thin out a layer. I did take this glass casserole dish, and it's a 9 by 11 or 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 13. Actually, I'm sorry, it's a 9 by 13. I'm doing paper sizes. It's a 9 by 13. I did spray it with a layer of coconut oil. Another thing that I really like to get at Trader Joe's is coconut oil spray. It's just quick and easy. And because I'm not sure about the cheese, I am going to add a layer of cheese. This is sliced provolone. Again, my family will never complain about Mom using too much cheese. And because I want to make sure I'm getting enough fat and protein, I'm going to open this other package. So we will have used 16 ounces of corned beef. And it's so simple to do this, or to shred this up. I didn't open it very simply, but it's very simple. And you're just going to throw this on top. And my family loves it. Anybody I've ever made this for has really super, found it super yummy, really enjoyed it. And it bakes up nice and lovely. You bake it at 350 until it's just all kind of good and bubbly. I probably will not bake this now because this is really for dinner. We have a couple meetings in the evenings, families running in different directions this week, which is typical for families. And so this is probably going to be one of those things where my daughter uses it in her lunch, and one evening when David and I are busy, the kids will use it, or my daughter will use it for a quick dinner that she can just warm in the microwave. So I've added this other pack. I could have mixed it in with all the goodness, but with the cheese and the stuff I'm going to put on top, it's going to be all yumminess anyway. And you can see I'm just picking it into small pieces. Again, I just wanted it to be a really hearty meal for them. So that's why I added the other 8 ounces of corned beef. I didn't have to do that. So I'm going to add this to the top. And I've been working for about 12 minutes on this, and it's done. For all intents and purposes, I have to bake it. I have to pick up my kitchen, put the things back in the fridge, but this is a Rueben Casserole. There are several versions of it out on the web. I will post the version that I used. I cannot recall the name of the blogger that I found this from, but I will post that link in the comments to the video so that you can make it yourself. Put it in the oven at 350 and enjoy. It could not be easier to do this. And again, this warms up great for leftovers for lunch, for you or your family. And this will feed them. I'll get several meals out of that. So, hope you enjoy Rueben Casserole. I may also sprinkle a few more caraway seeds over the top just to give it that flavor.